The morning after we left Eindhoven, the world looked washed out. Mist rolled low across the Dutch fields, clinging to hedgerows and canals. Somewhere behind us, Eindhoven still burned, smoke trailing like a scar against the sky. The roads were clogged with vehicles, wounded men, and the hulks of wrecked trucks. British columns rumbled past us, tanks, carriers, half-tracks, all heading north with the same hope we carried, Arnhem before nightfall. Red walked beside me, helmet pushed back, cigarette hanging loose. "Feels like déjà vu," he muttered. "Another place to take, another bridge to hold. Maybe this one will hold long enough for the brass to call it finished," I said, though I didn't believe it. We moved through the countryside at a steady pace, occasionally stopping to rest near farmhouses or drainage ditches. The Dutch civilians brought out food when they could, loaves of dark bread, tins of jam, potatoes boiled in salt water. They wouldn't stop thanking us. "Vrijheid," they kept saying, "freedom." I nodded, but it felt like a fragile word out here. By midday we reached the village of Nuenen, small, quiet, its church steeple standing tall above red roofs. It looked peaceful enough, but nothing in this war ever stayed peaceful long. British recon reports said a German armored unit had been sighted near the eastern edge of town. We were ordered to hold position until armor support arrived. We took up defensive posts along the narrow streets. Cobblestones slick with dew, garden walls for cover, barns for machine gun nests. I could feel the tension vibrating through the unit, the kind that builds before an inevitable fight. Pieter and a few of his resistance men joined us again, slipping in through the back roads. He unrolled a stained map on a crate. "They come from the woods here," he said, tapping a finger east of town. "They have half-tracks. You must be careful. They use civilians as cover sometimes." Red frowned. "Then we make damn sure we hit the right targets." The first shots came that afternoon, sharp, measured, like tests. German scouts probing our edges. We fired back, short bursts, keeping low. The air smelled of damp earth and gun oil. A strange quiet settled over the village afterward, broken only by distant crow calls. Then, near sundown, the tanks arrived. Not ours, theirs. You could feel the vibrations in the soles of your boots before you heard them. Then the guttural rumble of engines spread through the fields like thunder. A column of German armor emerged from the tree line. Panthers, at least 2, maybe 3, supported by infantry. They moved slowly, deliberately, shells in their barrels gleaming dull under the gray light. "Down!" Red shouted. The first shell slammed into a row of houses at the end of the street, shredding brick and plaster. Debris rained down. The noise hammered through the chest more than the ears. We scrambled into cover, returning fire where we could. Bazooka teams set up in the garden ruins. The first shot went wide. The second struck home, catching a half-track and setting it ablaze. The German infantry broke formation, spilling into alleyways. "Hold your fire till they're in range," Red barked. I sighted down my M1, breath steady despite the noise. When the first figure appeared from behind a hedge, I squeezed the trigger twice. He went down instantly. Another tried to drag him back and caught one in the shoulder. Training and terror blurred together until they felt the same. All around, the village turned into an inferno of noise. The tanks fired again, collapsing half the main street. A hit landed close enough that the shockwave threw me backward. My ears rang so badly I couldn't tell if I was shouting or silent. When I crawled to my knees, the air was full of dust and bits of slate raining down like hail. I found Red crouched behind what was left of a brick wall, waving me over. "We gotta fall back toward the square," he yelled over the chaos. "Get the MGs repositioned." "Go." We pulled back one street at a time, leapfrogging formations, covering each other while the Germans pressed from 3 sides. Civilians tried to flee, women clutching children, old men dragging carts. We waved them toward the west, where the British armor was supposed to be forming. Some listened, some didn't. By dusk, the fighting had reached the heart of Nuenen. The church steeple took a direct hit and collapsed in a roar of splintered timber. Flames lit the cobblestones, giving the smoke a red glow. Red was shouting something, but by then I couldn't make it out. We finally saw the British tanks an hour later, Shermans rolling fast from the southern road, guns blazing. Their presence alone turned the tide. The Germans pulled back, leaving behind burning vehicles and bodies. When silence came again, it was almost unbearable. We sat among the ruins, too tired to speak. The living helped the wounded. Someone started boiling water over an overturned helmet. The first stars were coming out, faint behind the haze. Pieter appeared again from the darkness, coat torn, one arm bleeding. "You held them," he said quietly. "They are gone, for now." Red exhaled like he'd been holding his breath since morning. "Yeah, for now." Word filtered down later that Arnhem was still out of reach. The paratroopers up there were cut off, waiting for armor that would never arrive in time. Market Garden was unraveling, one bridge at a time. That night, Red gathered us in a wrecked barn to brief for the next move. "Command's pulling some units back to Sun," he said. "We're staying here for now to hold the line in case they counter again. No one's giving this road up easy." He looked around the group, faces hollow from fatigue, uniforms black with soot. "You did good today," he added quietly. "Damn good. Don't forget that." After he left, I lay back on my pack, staring at the beams overhead. The air smelled of ash and smoke. I could still hear the tanks in my head, the screams, the ringing of spent shells bouncing off cobblestone. War doesn't stop when the fighting ends, it just crawls inside you and waits. Before sleep took me, I heard movement nearby, civilians returning to look for what was left of their homes. One woman passed close, her arms full of broken picture frames. She saw me and paused. I raised a hand in greeting, but she only nodded faintly and kept walking into the ruins. The next morning came cold and silent, mist again, the kind that muffles all sound. Nuenen looked almost peaceful under it, as if nothing had happened, but every step crunched glass, every street smelled of soot, and every man who walked out alive knew that the road north, to Sun, to Arnhem, would only get worse.